Hello, Sydney. That's always good for like a cheap cheer. Like, hey, how you? Everyone doing good?
Don't say New Zealand by accident. I learned that yesterday.
Did you really? Did you say you're happy to be here in New Zealand? Is that what you did?
I said don't do it by accident. Yeah, because that doesn't go over so well, except for the first row.
She's apologizing now. So thanks for everyone for coming out to the Red versus Blue panel.
Red versus blue.
The series that started it all. It started a revolution.
It did.
It directly led to the rise of online video. No one.
Oh, you're taking credit for the whole thing now?
I'm taking credit for the whole thing now.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think we should do that because we do a lot of interviews where people call us YouTubers, and we said, well, actually, we were doing online video before YouTube, but we never actually take credit for YouTube. So I think this panel, we started YouTube. Yeah. I'm waiting for the royalty check. It's ours.
Actually, Matt, that'll be our place in history, is that we could have been the guys who invented YouTube, but didn't.
I know. We were pre-YouTube and pre-Facebook.
We were.
There's like collectively like $1 trillion we didn't claim.
I remember when years ago, we were still really early in the company. It might have been 05 or so. We were still in the Buda department, in the Buda office, and Facebook turned down the $2 billion acquisition offer from Yahoo.
Right.
And I said, we should write a press release right now. We have a social network.
That's right.
We have a social media website. We should make a press release right now saying Yahoo can buy us for $2 billion. And I think we wrote it and released it.
Yeah. And then they bought Tumblr. I mean, come on.
It's funny you say that because
I guess there's a Tumblr crowd. I shouldn't have done that.
because
It's
Tumblr,
totally like
New Zealand, yay! No.
It's like the history
I
of
got
Red.
one. I got just one.
I'm sorry, what happened? So much screaming. And you're so close.
I was waiting for Joel to say whatever he's going to say, but recently Sony said that they should have the trademark for the words "Let's Play" for whatever reason.
And the other thing that they didn't tell you is that they were going to install a virus into the words "Let's Play." And so when you used it and bought your laptop, you would have a virus that would automatically download Sony products.
And so,
That's a real thing, right?
right
I just
after
think
that,
if you
though,
watch or make a Let's Play, if Sony had the trademark, they would automatically just give your credit card information out to the entire world, right?
but I went to Matt and Ezra, the president of Fullscreen, after that thing hit the news, and I said, "Can we file a trademark request tomorrow for Sony or for the Rooster Teeth playing station?" So we're actually, the legal department is looking at it right now. We're probably gonna file a trademark for Sony. Just because I guess you can just do that. You can just file a trademark for anything that you want to.
We're really looking forward to releasing the PS5 next winter.
It'd be awesome.
We hope you'll all buy it.
And YouTube too. But the thing about when we're doing Laser Team, which is now our most recent project, even when we do interviews, and there's been a lot of them we've been doing at RTX, like behind the scenes. Gus, you're right. It's like even after all these years, they refer to us as the people that you know from Red versus Blue,
Right.
even though we have like 40 or 50 other productions. So let me just ask all of you, how many of you first discovered Rooster Teeth through Red versus Blue?
Well, this is a stacked deck. This is the Red versus Blue panel.
Yeah, and how many of you discovered Rooster Teeth from one of our other popular shows, like how many from On the Spot? All the hands went down.
How did John Reisinger?
How many people?
How did you get here?
He must be from New Zealand.
All right.
That's the one. I'm gonna drop that line of jokes. It's not going over.
So John isn't here, but I'll be sure to text him and let him know, John, your show sucks. And
Who was it? It was you in the gray shirt who raised your hand, right? Or who? Nobody? All right. He's not even.
They were all raising their hands. Like some people were raising their hands. I said through other Rooster Teeth shows, people started to put their hands up. Like popular ones, like On the Spot, and everyone, oh no, that's not, no. But it's funny because Matt, every Monday at the company, which is now how many people, Matt?
150.
150 people at the company. We have a Monday meeting where we get everybody in one place, and that's becoming increasingly more difficult to find a place where we all fit.
I thought this was actually the Monday morning meeting right now. I wasn't entirely sure.
And you made an announcement.
But you showed up to this one, so it can't be the regular Monday meeting.
I am there. I am in the back. I'm telling you, I can't fight my way through all the freaking people. It's not a joke.
I think you should just crowd surf at the Monday meeting.
Man.
Or maybe right here.
Have any of you guys ever crowd surfed before for anything? I was tempted to try it today when everyone was waiting to get in because everyone's so densely packed.
Yeah.
That would actually be possible to crowd surf. Not me, Joel, not me. I know it's a liability. Someone like, Meg, somebody small could crowd surf. I heard a really funny story though. Do you know why Madonna stopped crowd surfing?
Why Madonna?
Why did
stopped
Madonna
crowd surfing?
stop crowd surfing?
She actually said in an interview, she said she stopped crowd surfing because every time she did it, she got tired of people sticking their fingers in her butt. Or maybe it was Gwen Stefani. I don't know. I don't want to. Allegedly, they have fingers in their butt.
I picture Madonna as a huge crowd surfer. I think that's totally something she would do.
Maybe in the early days. I saw a video with her the other day. She's like 60 now, and she's like doing this video where she's at a club like dancing around with 20-year-olds. It was amazing. It's kind of like our careers.
I was gonna say, like, be careful where you're treading right now, because.
But at the Monday meeting one day, recently, Matt announced that like all the shows that were going back into production, some of our new productions as well. I don't know if you guys heard, we at the Founding Fathers panel yesterday, we announced that Day 5 is coming out this year. We announced another new series called Crunch Time. And then Jeff was talking about his new series that he's developing called Let's Watch, where they sit down and watch movies. And
Except for Sony patented that term.
that is true. So we can't do it. And so Matt was announcing all those at Monday meeting, and then talking about the shows are going back into production. I was like, yay, yay, yay. And he goes, and On the Spot's coming back too. And it was like literally everyone was like, oh my God. On the Spot is probably the one show at the company that it's like hardest to get people to do, but then as soon as they're done doing it, they're happiest about doing that show. Because that show is like, it's intimidating to get on that show. Joel, you're good at it though. You're probably the best one at it.
Well, I mean, the key to that show is having a dog, right? I mean, listen, isn't it time that we had a cooking show that was hosted by a dog?
Did you say a cooking show?
A cooking show. Don't we want to see a cooking show hosted by a Shiba Inu?
That exists. Have you not seen it?
Oh, fucking goddamn internet.
There's a Japanese YouTube channel that's a cooking show host. Actually, I take it back. So it's a YouTube channel with.
Don't tell the audience this, Gus.
Cooking show hosted by a dog. But
Guy Fieri actually a schnauzer? Is that what you're getting at?
the dog left the show. It's like, how does that happen? The dog left and started another show, and
Travel show.
I think it is a travel show, actually. Yeah.
Those are the things, when we first started coming down to Australia, just because we're so close, we'd also sometimes fly over to New Zealand and do events there. There we go. There's the one woo, the two woos. And when we landed at the airport that one time, there was all those restrictions on what you can bring into New Zealand as an island country. Like you can't bring in certain kinds of food. And instead of dogs that look for drugs, they have dogs that look for food.
Milk?
And no, there was pictures on the side of the dog's harness of like fruit and vegetables and food.
How hard is it to train a dog to search for food?
That's what I said. It's just a dog. I mean, it's like, and she almost, the trainer or the handler got so upset with me because that's what I said to her. She goes, "Oh, this dog is specially trained to find food." I go, "So it's just a fucking dog." But I didn't get thrown in jail, so that was good.
Did you have peanut butter in your bag?
No, I didn't.
That dog will go crazy for some peanut butter.
I'll do it next time, so I can cause a scene at the border of New Zealand. So one of the weird things about this being the red versus blue panel is that, of all the people we brought down to RTX Australia, this is the group that actually we tend to work on red versus blue the least now. So this is more of a cast panel, whereas in the past we were the guys that were always producing it. But I gotta give a shout out to the entire animation department at Rooster Teeth, to Cohen, to Gray, to Miles Luna, of course, for the last 3 seasons of Red vs. Blue, and the incredible job that they've done with the series.
Wow, a very pro Miles crowd.
Yeah.
Very pro Miles crowd.
I think
He gave that dog away.
Why did he do that? Why did Miles start a thing online about him finding a dog, knowing that he wasn't gonna be able to keep it? That seemed like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, what a piece of shit. that he should have kept that dog. I don't get it.
Well, he probably can't because he travels too much and everything. So, he was just in Burbank. Do we want to talk a little bit about RVB season 14 before we open it up to the audience?
We probably should.
Sure.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's interesting. I have one little clip, and I'm really curious how many people in the audience have seen it before, especially with so many hands went up saying that Red vs. Blue was the way you were introduced to Rooster Teeth. I wonder how many people have actually seen this clip, which was, I think, the first Red vs. Blue video. Can we play that?
We always say the company started in 2003, but the
Here we
first
go.
videos we started putting out were actually in
Before that.
2002. So this would have been, oh wow, look at that, 2002.
In the year 2552, in the last year of the Covenant invasion of the Outer Planets, a hero arose, a cyborg known only by the name Master Chief. He led the Covenant to the edge of space, to a ringworld called Halo. It was on Halo that Master Chief learned the grand plan of the Covenant Armada, to destroy humanity and its home, Earth. Using the defenses of Halo, he destroyed the ringworld and the Covenant Armada along with it. The invasion was over. Unknown to the people of Earth, the Covenant were planning to return. But in the time between the first and second Covenant invasion, there was a brief but violent period of civil war among humans. Man fighting man. Red versus blue. This is the story of the... What is that? What are you doing? Well, don't paraphrase. Don't... Look, I read what's in the script, and you type whatever I say, okay? So just type whatever I say. No, don't type everything I say. Just type what it's in the damn... That's not funny. All right, now that... Okay, take that off, because that is, for number one, that's offensive, and secondly, I am not a cockbite. Seriously, I am not a cockbite. That is rude. Just put up the fucking logo, okay? Just put up the logo. Assholes.
Yeah, I think somebody owes me the last 2 minutes of my life back.
So, how many people had seen that before? Oh, good number. Okay. Yeah, I think officially that was like the very first Red versus Blue video, right, Burnie?
I think, like Burnie was saying before we played the video, that came out in August of 2002.
Right.
Which was, way before we actually started releasing the series.
That video actually served a dual purpose. It was meant to be a trailer, but at the time when I was thinking about Red versus Blue and how to do it, I know Machinima is a thing now and like lots of people do it, but it was so difficult to explain to everybody at the time. Like people thought, I was gonna say, take a game and make movies. They said, so you're gonna cut up the cutscenes? I'm like, no. I'm gonna use dialogue and act it out in the game. And it's like, it was so hard to explain. So actually the shot at the end with Griffin Simmons, the dual purpose of that video was to just have that one little shot to explain to everybody else what I was planning to do.
Yeah, I think at the time, people, when you said you were going to try to tell a story via a video game, they thought of that game Anachronox, which was just like all the cutscenes cut together. I'm sure nobody even remembers that anymore.
Right.
It was just like cutscenes cut together to try to tell a story, and then to actually try to repurpose the game was something I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, and then as the company grew, everything that we've done, I think, has built off of Red vs. Blue as an offshoot, at least especially in the early years. Like, the live action department came out of us wanting to make comedy videos, but that weren't animation, so we started making shorts, and then we were doing video game stuff that was narrative, and we wanted to do video game stuff that was more personality driven, and that's where Achievement Hunter came from. I actually think that there was a lot of talk in the early days that Machinima was going to be this art form, and we were going to see tons of Machinima projects that became, huge hits. And I think what happened was that never really materialized, but I think the Machinima movement evolved into what we now call the Let's Play movement.
Yeah.
Instead of gameplay being used for scripted content, narrative stories, it's now gameplay content with personalities and personality-driven content. And that's just like, I think that's so much more accessible than what Machinima with little m is.
And actually, it evolved a couple of times before we even got into kind of like, I don't know, popular culture or, kind of like fan culture, like I think that we're a part of. Because you remember in the old days when we were first putting videos up and we were being asked to go all around the world, the reason we first came to Australia was we got invited to the Australia Centre for the Moving Image in Melbourne, and it was looked at as a very kind of high art piece. And most of the other machinima that was out there, that was all high art. And we went to like museums in Germany and Italy and France and New York and all over the world. And it wasn't to demonstrate Machinima and Red versus Blue as comedy. It was really talking about it as art.
Yeah, they always refer to
There's nothing like going to a German panel and showing like a bunch of like older German people some Red versus Blue. Like you show them a video, and you're like,
well, what I always heard was
then you get that response.
the comparisons to Waiting for Godot and like the existential nature of being and of humor, and they definitely took it to a level I didn't think about at the time. You wrote it. I don't know if you had that in mind, but I was like,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of dick jokes and a video game.
Yeah, everybody always says that. We never really dick jokes. What are the dick jokes in Red vs. Blue Season 1?
I'm not going to sit here and play with my dick the entire time. Episode 1, Tucker.
What is it? What is the line?
You're the one with the fucking sniper rifle. I'm not going to sit here and play with my dick.
Oh, that's not a dick joke.
It's literally a minute into the series. There is a dick joke.
There's also no fart jokes either. I just want to point out there's no fart jokes. All right, so I think we should probably open this up. We can get ready for questions. Instead of having somebody run around with a mic, it might work better to have people like you stand in one place and have people line up. That probably works a little bit better. But we'll get that going here in 1 second.
Do we have a mic stand? Can we get a mic stand?
Okay.
No?
So, but before we start questions, we do want to talk a little bit about RVB Season 14. So, we told essentially the Blood Gulch Chronicle stories through Season 5. Seasons 6 through 10 were essentially the Freelancer story and the Reconstruction era. And then Seasons 11 through 13 have been the Chorus trilogy. So we were kind of looking after Season 13 of what we wanted to do. And for a series that's been around as long as Red vs. Blue, we thought it would be fun to do something a little different. So Season 14 of Red vs. Blue will be our anthology season, where we're getting some people who are science fiction writers, comic book writers, directors, and they're going to be contributing to a lot of little short stories based in the Red vs. Blue universe. Some they produce on their own, some they write and we produce on their behalf. So it's going to be a really fun series. And then, of course, like some people within Rooster Teeth who have never written for Red vs. Blue, contributing there as well. And we have one we can talk about today, one of the first ones.
Yeah, we have a couple that would be cool to announce. Some of our guest stars. Well, internally, the Funhouse team is going to be doing one, and that'll be really great. They've been working hard on that.
That'll have dick jokes in it, I can guarantee.
Might have a couple. And then you want to tell everybody about one of our other big special guests?
And one of the other directors is Freddie Wong is going to be, and Rocket Jump will be producing a live-action Red vs. Blue piece.
She approves.
So that should be a ton of fun. And there's, it's really surprising to us when we go to conventions. Sometimes we're at other events, not RTX events, where we're with other special guests. And it's amazing to us the number of people who have watched Red vs. Blue in their lives. And we've reached out to them, and we're building that list. We've got some really cool names, and we'll be announcing those over the next few months as we lead up to RVB Season 14.
The interesting thing to me about this, you say we're also going to have some internal people writing and creating some stories for this, is I've had so many people at Rooster Teeth internally come up to me and go, if you were going to write a story for Red vs. Blue Season 14, what would it be? I'd be like, no, if I was going to do it, I would do it. Like, I'm not going to give you my ideas.
I mean, I think everybody wants to see the explanation of time-traveling church, right?
No.
I want to see the 5-hour, why is he yellow?
Well, you don't want to hear that. It's like Lost. You don't want to know. You don't
No,
really
no,
want to
we
know what the
wanna-
smoke monster is.
Hey, just because Lost couldn't deliver
That's right.
doesn't mean...
They're all going to be in a church at the end. And it is literally going to be inside of church. And all the characters will be...
It's full circle.
Yeah.
Makes total sense.
All right, do you guys want to open this up to questions from the audience?
I think they're getting
Yeah.
the mic ready.
Oh.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna take the
tell you what,
first
while they're
question. I feel bad.
Hold
I'm
on.
gonna take the first one. I see a guy out here. There's no
I
way.
have one other
Go
quick
for it,
video.
Gus.
I have one other quick video. While we're getting set up,
While Gus walks over there. Hi. Hey.
that we talked at the founders panel about having Red vs. Blue is in TV format on a network in the U.S. called El Rey, and we're trying to figure out a way to get it to Australia as well, because it may be really cool to have it on TV here. and we cut together some different. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to put the episodes together where they would work in TV format, and we made some cool intros. And we have one of the intros for the TV format. I just wanted you guys to be able to see it. Can, So we broke it up. We broke it up kind of like, the series has evolved naturally, where Blood Gulch is kind of like one set of episodes, and then Project Freelancer is another, and the Chorus Trilogy being the final set. So I think it's a pretty cool way to watch it. And when we have news to announce about the rest of the world, getting to see that on TV, we'll let you guys know. We're trying to find a way to do that.
I mean, Reverse was such a crazy series because, at 13 seasons now going into 14, I mean, there's very, very few programs in any form of media that have, reached that level of, have run for that long. So it's weird to think that in season 13 of the show, that's when it made its way to television. There's been a couple of times when we had an opportunity to put Red vs. Blue on television in the past, and it just didn't make any sense because when we were going to move to TV, they wanted us to shut down our entire web business. And it was like, we're not going to do that because TV
you guys get a lot of credit because there were a lot of people at the doorstep very early on. I mean, some big name people, who were approaching, and it would have killed the series. It wouldn't have had the duration and the reach that it's had. So
it is tempting, right, to immediately jump in when you get that offer, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's, a lot of credit, to not sort of cashing in,
Yeah, it's crazy to think if we put Red vs. Blue, say, on TV season 2 or 3 of the show, it probably would run 1 or 2 seasons on TV, been canceled.
I don't even know what a cycle on MTV is at this point. I mean, is it literally 10 minutes? Here's the show, it's 10 minutes. Next thing. You were literally going to show, you put a show on MTV, and halfway through the show, there's a new show.
It runs for a week at midnight or something like that. All right, Gus, we ready with our question over here?
This better be a good question, because I have not been in front of camera for a while. And I require my camera time. All right, so what's your question, man?
Hello, what would be your greatest individual accomplishments in the entire Red vs. Blue seasons?
Greatest individual accomplishment in the entire Red vs. Blue seasons. Oh, hey, I got a camera.
Turning Gus into a known actor. I would have never...
My greatest accomplishment, if it ever happened, would be being on the cover of a Red vs. Blue DVD.
That'll never happen.
So Simmons has never been, although I think we broke that streak in season 13.
Yes,
you are correct.
You're on it now.
So up through season 12, Simmons had never been on a DVD cover. And he complained about it. He complained about it every year. And then there was we worked with a company that distributed our DVDs, and I made a point of one year really featuring Simmons prominently on the cover, and I sent it off to this distribution company and said, "This is what we're thinking for the cover. What do you guys think?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool." We made a couple changes, and they sent it back, and they'd taken Simmons off.
I mean,
the one exception is the season 4 DVD.
That's true.
Simmons is on the cover, but he's blue. It's Trader Simmons.
Trader Simmons.
You're fine, Gus. My favorite story of
am
Gus being
fine.
excluded was one of the early big success stories was in 2005, they put us on the front cover of the Wall Street Journal. And the interviewer came down for 3 or 4 days, and Gus picked this guy up from the airport, drove him back and forth to his hotel, took him out for all of his meals and everything. And then when the article came out, it mentioned everybody in the company except for Gus in the whole thing.
And when you say everyone in the company, there were 5 or 6 of us. It's not like it was an oversight. It's not like there were 150 of us. He forgot 20% of the company.
He had like 3 paragraphs on how Jason likes to play guitar, but no, he didn't mention it.
The interview would cover like anecdotes about the company right up until the point where they included Gus, and then he'd stop it.
I have his face wallpapered all over my bedroom. It's like a scene out of 7. I have like books filled with his name. I'm not gonna forget.
All right, so if anybody has any questions, if you want to come line up here, we'll be happy to answer your questions about red versus blue. Look at this orderly. Nobody's rushing or anything. All right?
If, God forbid, you guys were fired or quit or Rooster Teeth fell apart, what do you think you'd do as jobs after this?
How is it possible he's 4 feet away from me and I can't hear what he's saying?
I think if it wasn't for this, what would we have for
Yeah,
jobs?
if you left Rooster Teeth now or something, what would you do as a job afterwards?
Oh, I would still be successful.
Well, we saw that trailer. It
Everybody-
didn't have any names other than created by Bernie Burns.
Oh, no, that was the intro for the TV show. That was the TV show one. So I've started putting my name on things like far after the fact.
Would that be your new career, just putting your name on stuff?
Dude, you listen, over the history of my career, the one consistent thing is how bad I am at naming things. I mean, the fact that we named the company Rooster Teeth, that was off of the trailer because we put it out before the first episode of RVB. The cockbite became like the first catchphrase for the audience. And so I thought, oh, that'd be a funny like callback to our early audience. We'll name the company Cockbite Productions. And the state of Texas goes, you're not going to name a company Cockbite. So I go, oh, we'll do Rooster Teeth. Ha, ha, ha. Shit.
So when I met someone a little earlier here in the hall, and he said that Rooster Teeth had inspired him to create content and make his own, production stuff, and that I think he said he wanted to name his company Muffin Brain. I said, listen.
Yeah, listen.
Muffins, I heard him yell. I said, we've been doing this for 13 years. The biggest regret I have is calling the company Rooster Teeth.
Yep.
So make sure if you pick a name, you're gonna be happy saying that name for 13 years. It's like you're on the phone with somebody like, yeah, what's your email address? My email address is, gus@roosterteeth.com. Uh-huh. Yeah, rooster like the bird. Yeah, right. Uh-huh. Yeah, rooster, yeah. Teeth. Yeah, like in your mouth. Yeah, teeth. Yeah, .com. It's like, it takes forever. We should have picked something else.
No, I mean, no, but it's like one of those things where brands, after a while, they just you kind of lose sight of what they mean. Like, when I think of like Target at the store, or like Amazon's a great example. You don't think of a river or like an ancient female warrior when you think of Amazon and order books from them,
I'm just glad that we learned our lesson and didn't release like a big movie with a stupid name.
What?
With an intentional misspelling in it.
What?
That would be a dumb thing to do.
If you could go back, if you could pick any name, what would it be?
Bernie Burns Productions. Yeah, next question.
What? We didn't even answer his question.
What was your question?
What would we do if we left Rooster Teeth right now?
I had a very funny answer to his question. What would you be doing, Gus? Maybe we should answer for each other. What would Gus be doing?
Oh,
Joel,
well, I have an answer for myself.
Gus would be the funniest guy working at Best Buy. That's what I think. That's what Gus would be doing.
No, I totally. Hopefully, second funniest is what I'd give myself. I don't know if I could be funniest.
I would work at the Wall Street Journal where I would write articles about Best Buy and leave Gus out of them.
I think I could see you moving to LA. I could see you doing some writing stuff.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I had a tech job at the time. I probably would have stayed in the tech industry at that point in
Oh, no,
time.
I think he means now.
What? Oh, now? Oh, you
Yeah.
mean if we stop now, what we do? Wait, he's shaking his head. Do you mean if we stop?
I don't know that if we've spent a disproportionate amount of time
This
on
is
this
the
one
longest
particular
we've ever
question.
spent answering one question.
What is your? Let's do a. Do you have an answer? Did you answer?
I'd be at some other convention somewhere else.
What's your question?
You actually asked Bernie my question, so I'm
Oh,
gonna make another
fuck,
one.
sorry.
I got it. It's fine. Have you ever, personally, kind of to Bernie, have you ever had issues handing off the series of Red versus Blue to other producers, other writers, because you were so close to it? Like everyone here was so close to it, making it in the early years.
So
have you
did-
ever
I
had
thought his
issues like
question
handing off to
stopped
other
at-
writers?
have you ever
Or,
had
You're just going to
issues
talk
getting
over your
off?
question. What?
I thought his question stopped at, have you ever had issues getting off? There's a long pause there.
That's a totally different panel. So have I ever had the issues moving off of Red versus
Yeah,
Blue?
you were like giving it to other writers, because you were so close. Everyone here was so close with it in the early years.
Yeah, have you had problems rolling off?
Sure. Thanks, guys. So the question was, have I had any problems moving off of Red versus Blue because I'm the most talented person that works at the company?
Exactly,
Okay.
obviously.
Okay. I understood your question.
Yeah.
So yes.
Have I had fucking problems trying to convince the rest of the world that I'm not fucking caboose? Yes, I have had that problem.
Joel does.
Jesus.
It is a concern of the company, especially for those of us who like to work in scripted and narrative content. There is a kind of dance that we do where we have a lot of personality content. Like Joel is enormously popular every time he comes on the podcast, every time he goes on the spot. But Joel appearing as Joel does make it a little hard for Joel the actor to like then go out and be, a character that nobody's seen before.
I had this old model fucking decision that I made early on, which made no fucking sense whatsoever, where it was like, I just want to play roles. I don't ever want anyone to know who I am, and because that would be fucking disastrous, I promise you. And so it's like I've been trying to hide, just trying to play roles, and that didn't fucking work at all.
Are you saying caboose is not a role? That you're a caboose?
I heard there was this movie called Laser Team.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
So the answer to the question was, I actually was after season 5. I was pretty much at that point ready to like try to hand the series off, and the only trouble I had with that was trying to convince other people at the company that I was ready to do that, because I would say it to people, and they would say, "Nah, you don't really mean that." And it was actually the first time we ever worked with Gavin Free. Was I hired Gavin to direct season 7 of Red vs. Blue, and that's how Gavin started his career at Rooster Teeth, because I was trying to find a way to start transitioning off, and then completed that around really most of the way through season 9. Season 10 was a huge group effort, and Matt was a huge part of that as well. But yeah, I was ready to roll off by season 10.
But we learned our lesson with Gavin in season 7, because he came in to help out, and then he assured us he had finished the season, and we got to the last couple of episodes and realized he had not finished the season.
Right.
And we had to jump in and actually finish making those episodes.
Well,
Gavin, you're a piece of shit.
He ran out of visa time, so he had to go back.
But he could have told us.
Well, I
lied.
I gotta defend Gav a little bit too, because we were also transitioning from back in those days. I would write Red vs. Blue week to week. Like Monday, everybody would get the script, theoretically.
Yeah, right, wink.
Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, and people would get the script. And so I was used to doing it that way, and that changed after season 7, because delivering that to another director was impossible. So season 9, season 10, and everything since has been written well in advance.
Thanks. Hey guys, when you started off with Red vs. Blue, you had an audience who really didn't want to listen to long-winded episodes. They wanted something snappy that they can share to their co-workers. And moving on, a lot of people now are happy to watch hour and a half Let's Plays on various channels. Have you ever thought of doing almost like a feature-length episode of Red vs. Blue at all?
We have 13 of them.
Yeah, that's a standard answer to it. No, it's just weird the way things evolve over time. We used to say, Matt, we wouldn't put a video out that was longer than 3 minutes ever.
No, I am curious though, because we do get that question a lot, and I know what you mean. Even though, like, sometimes we bristle at that a little bit, because it's like we've always taken great pride in making sure that the entire thing comes together in a movie. But I'm curious, like in the audience, like, would you guys be interested in seeing the entire long form thing instead of episodic week releases? Like if we just put out 2 hours of material all at once.
Once a year.
Once a year. No? Okay. So, there you go.
Fair enough.
Thanks.
But one of the things, too, is that as the tastes of the audience and their habits evolve, so does, like, our work, because we've been doing it for so long. Like, when I go back and watch season 1, they're short episodes, but they're so slow to me.
I also think that there was a lot of value where it's like you put out an individual episode and you get feedback from the audience.
Without question.
And it's sort of like, oh, all right, and I think that's an important component of it, which differentiates itself from other things, where it's sort of like, oh, they're getting this part, they like this part, so it's like there's some sort of reaction that goes on with the audience, and I don't know. You tell me. I mean, it's sort of like a dialogue between the audience and the producer, where you get to participate into it, some of it, right? And it's like, am I wrong?
No, it was a big concern for writing the seasons in advance. That was a concern.
Yeah,
Not having that feedback.
I hope that you guys, the audience, feels that like in terms of like watching it, like you see it evolve and you like kind of see the comments and stuff. Because we don't try to like be reactionary off the comments, but I do think you get a lot of information and kind of like can read between the lines on some stuff, and it's definitely very helpful.
Like a key component, it would be interesting to like start a series where you put some like foundations in place and then like throw it into the forum and be like, all right, the audience is going to figure out how this goes.
Yeah. But you always
How
have
does this panel end? Drunk.
My question's for Joel. You've voiced characters in both Red vs. Blue and Ruby. How do you think an interaction between Caboose and Professor Oobleck would go?
I hear this guy way better than everyone else.
Yeah, you're very articulate.
Yeah, you're like
Good
the
job.
only one I understood. That would be, I don't know if that would be like a contextual, confusing thing for the audience. I don't
Professor
know how that would
Caboose-lick?
I don't know. That would be a weird thing. I don't know. Well, let's talk about it later. We'll get together. We'll have coffee.
Thanks. I think if you had Professor Oobleck and Caboose in the same room and they were the same person, it would even out their talking speed and they'd just be normal Joel. So my question is, one of my favorites... Come on, who hasn't thought about that? So my favorite scene, probably by far, would be the training room scene where Tex kicks the crap out of Washington and Maine, because I mean, it's fucking awesome, right? So out of all the characters that you guys have put together over the years, which ones would you like to see go toe-to-toe or already have done?
What characters would we like to see go toe-to-toe?
Gus and Burnie. It's a joke. You already went toe-to-toe on that phone thing 4 years ago, and then
what thing?
And then you kissed.
What did we kissed?
You
I
did
never
kiss.
kissed Gus.
Yes, you did.
I never
No,
kissed Gus.
I kissed Jeff during a CNN interview.
You did?
you?
Yeah, and like it was.
Was that before or after the fingernails thing that you found out about?
It was after. So
You
yeah,
have to go to the other panels to get the jokes.
There was a video, The History of Red vs. Blue, where I went in to kiss Jeff and then slapped him as hard as I could. So that's the closest I've come to kissing either one of you guys.
So we.
I
did-
also did hold Jeff's hand when I had a wet dream on a plane. That's unfortunate.
We did it. We did. Jeff and I did an interview for CNN back when we were in the Congress studio, and we filmed it on the couch. You know, we had the TV and the couch there, and we ended it by just turning and looking at each other and just like full-on open-mouth kissing. And they cut the interview like right then. The moment we looked at each other and then leaned in.
That was before Anderson was there, right?
Yeah. And they cut right at that moment. It's like
Wolf
we did it
Blitzer
for-
was blushing.
Yeah. So I got Hep C for nothing.
Hey, thanks.
Hi. When did you first think about the idea of Project Freelancer and like how that story developed from like splitting the Epsilon fragments and everything? Like what season was that?
It was actually a gentleman who used to work for us named Nathan Zellner, who some of you might remember. Very tall, quiet gentleman. It was after season 5, and you know, at that point in time, we were thinking about where could the series go, what do we do with the franchise as a whole, and I had written all this backstory for the Tex character, and I had layered all that in with like Wyoming and like what was motivating all that, and there were these other freelancers as well, and what that was like, and he just said very clearly, we were at lunch, and he goes, you know, you've written all this stuff, he goes, but I don't think the audience knows about any of that. You should probably find a way to put that out there. And so then it was from that, I started working on the script for Reconstruction, and it's still to this day, that's my favorite season of Red vs. Blue, is season 6, Reconstruction. I just love that season. So it was all thanks to Nathan convincing us to do it. You know, also, we didn't answer the guy's question. Characters we'd like to see go toe-to-toe. I would love to see the meta fight Felix and Locust. I think that would be fantastic.
Oh, like a.
Yeah.
You could do like a Suicide Squad type thing where you have them all work together on a big caper.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, wow, that's loud. Have you guys ever thought about giving your character to someone else and just letting them play for it? If that makes sense?
No,
Like
was
handing your character off?
What, you mean as actors?
Yeah.
So would we ever hand off the roles to somebody else? Yeah, actually, the person at the company who could probably do just about any role is Miles Luna, because when you're in the booth, he can act against you. He can do Sarge, and Caboose is the hardest, but he can get close enough on Caboose where it's really impressive.
I think Miles is spying on Matt. It's unbelievable. You will get into the booth, and Miles will jump on the microphone, and it's like, is Matt here?
I usually just tell Miles, go ahead and do it for me, and I'll just take credit for it.
Yeah, he will act. He will do the sides. He
How
will do every
How
character
do you
you're
know
acting
one
against.
already hasn't happened?
So it has happened once.
Red versus blue conspiracy.
It has happened once. Jason's brother had to do the voice of Tucker in a season 1 episode because there was a power outage and Jason could not do his own line.
It's the I couldn't hear you over the sound of your Constantine killing. That is Nick that did that line and not Jason.
Right. So it has happened once before in the past.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, is that a tattoo on your pinky?
It is. It's an infinity sign and an E for my wife Esther.
Thank you.
It used to be a white. It used to be a white tattoo. It used to be a white tattoo, right? And then you went over it in black?
It used to be white. She has one with a G, but the white ink did not take on her pinky. It rejected it, so she had to get it black. So I got mine black as well. For
yeah, it had it matching. Okay.
Hi guys, big fan of the show. My question is, what's your favorite part about voicing your characters?
What's your favorite?
Making everybody in the sound booth angry for taking so long.
His voice sessions are like twice or 3 times as long as everybody else.
It usually starts with, oh, Matt, do a couple funny ad-libs. And then I keep going and they get less and less funny, but I just keep going. And then they're in there going, oh, dear God, make it stop. So, I don't know. That's a lot of fun.
I mean, for me, there were a couple of times where there were some ad-libs, and it's the ad-libs that don't get used or ever see the light of day. And I remember one time, Caboose was having a conversation with Tex over the radio, and Tex kept, like, bothering Caboose because he wasn't moving fast enough. And Joel thought it would be funny if Caboose had a moment where Caboose decided he was going to lose it with Tex. And that audio has never seen the light of day, but it's funny.
You want to do it here?
Funny. I didn't think we might get kicked out.
Yeah, my least favorite part of playing church is it permanently ruined my voice. And that if I have to do anything where I have to raise my voice, and everyone in the company is aware of it, I lose my voice in about 5 minutes now. And
Although I think immersion played a big part in that too.
It's now a strategy at the company.
Yeah, so they have to get me in and out of the booth.
There was a period when we were doing those early immersions, and you had like a bunch of screaming lines as church. And I want to say it was the one where we had the sniper episode.
It was, where we were out in the middle
and
of
it was
the...
like 1 week where you were screaming nonstop, and then you've just never been the same since then.
I think for me, going to the booth made me realize that I have a speech impediment that I never knew I had. And it's like, oh, I can't say that word. Or, oh, those words are weird for me to say. It's really difficult for
What's
them.
a word that's hard for you to say?
Every time I do audio, I realize something like, oh, I don't say that word right. Or, oh.
It's compliments, isn't it?
I need to work on that.
Please, thank you, you're welcome.
You're a good
Gus
person.
struggles with all of these speech impediments on a daily basis.
Nick Newton from A Simple Walk is our New Zealand admin, and I'm under pretty strict instructions to be nice to the Australians today. So I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
You are vastly outnumbered, by the way.
But I'm good in a knife fight.
Okay,
So,
fair play.
So, my actual question now is, do you do all of your voice acting on site? And if people are recording elsewhere, do they require a certain hardware or software that you guys need?
As the show got more popular, we started traveling more, which meant people were out of the office more. But I didn't alter how quickly I was writing the scripts. So sometimes it'd be like, hey, we have to record today, but Matt is in Seattle working on something. So I actually have footage of Matt recording Sarge lines with his laptop like right in front of his face, and he's got his comforter from his hotel room over him like a portable sound booth. It looks like a ghost doing Sarge lines, basically.
No, I mean, I think we've recorded, I know I've recorded lines from multiple continents. In fact, I want to say I recorded a bunch of stuff when we were first in Australia in Melbourne, because we stayed in this hotel that was really crazy. It had like ballroom high ceilings like in the hotel rooms, and so it was super echoey. And we had to do just what Burnie's describing, like you throw like a big blanket over your head and get under it, so it seems like the sound doesn't echo.
No room tone.
Yeah, but at the same time you get super sweaty, so it's kind of like being here today.
Yeah. But actually, the whole series, the way the characters sound, is based on the fact that we had to record one of our actors, Gus, who was living in a different country at the time. He was living in Puerto Rico.
It's the United States.
Oh yeah, it is. I guess it's a Commonwealth. Is that what is it?
Yeah.
All right. He was living in a different country, Puerto Rico. And the way we recorded his lines is I had a mic just like this one. I mean, literally the same brand of microphone. And I had a speakerphone, a Panasonic speakerphone, and I would just mic it like this while he recorded his dialogue. So everyone in Red vs. Blue was made to sound like that speakerphone. That's the sound for Red vs. Blue.
Did you ever release? So when you would call me, I lived at the time on a military base. Did you ever release any of the audio of the hold music?
Yes, as a sponsor thing I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, anytime you would call me, you could not dial my phone directly.
Right.
You had to call into like a switchboard and then hit an extension and it would transfer you. But instead of hearing a phone ringing, you would hear hold music for some reason.
It's a really weird period of Red vs. Blue at the beginning because the show was like, it wasn't an overnight success, but it was the closest thing I've ever seen to that. Where the first episode when we put it out, it got 3,000 views. The second episode got about 250,000 views. And then by the end of the month, it was 1 million views a week. And that was a super, that of all the things we've done over the years, like that's the thing I'm most nostalgic for is that first month when it was just like, this thing was just taking off. And we were just kind of like, we're almost like holding on for dear life and trying to figure out like what we were gonna do and how we're gonna pay these server bills and how are we gonna make this work. And it's funny because even with all that, there was this weird thing that happened where everybody moved away. All of a sudden, you moved to Puerto Rico.
I moved away before.
And Jason moved away to New York. And suddenly we were like trying to figure out, and these two lived in LA at the time, so.
What's interesting is you say those numbers like 250,000, 1 million, and it's like, okay, that's good. Like people hear that and they think that's a good number for a video. At the time, you couldn't watch a video on the internet. We had to teach every one of those people how to watch the video, how to download it. So it was a much higher barrier to entry.
Couldn't play a video in a web browser.
And I think most of the views in the early days too were not even online, but whoever had the fastest internet connection would download a video and then burn it to CDs for their friends and pass them out at school or college or at work or wherever. I met somebody in line earlier today who was telling me that that's how they first experienced Red vs. Blue, and it's amazing how many just burned CDs from the old days are out there floating around that have, the original episodes of Red vs. Blue.
And lots of viruses on those.
That's right.
Thanks, Sony.
It is impossible for us to estimate how many times the first episode of Red vs. Blue has been watched. It's impossible.
Those servers are gone. Those logs are
Well, plus
long
people
gone.
would download it and just hand it to their friends.
Yeah.
So many people got it that way. Is
So-
there anybody who saw Red vs. Blue the first time because somebody handed them like a CD with burned episodes, or they saw it in person like at a party or something like that? Yeah, it's crazy.
Old.
So we're really short on time. We only have like 2 or 3 minutes left. Do you want to start doing lightning round?
Joel?
I don't know. We'll do one more and then we'll do lightning round. I don't know.
Lightning round.
Lightning round.
Lightning round.
So
Lightning round.
You guys know how the lightning round works? You ask questions really fast and we answer them really fast.
It's real simple. Favorite and least favorite things to do.
Both are Joel Heyman. Favorite and least favorite. Go.
Red versus Blue plot hole. Why did Vic send a text to the Blues in season 1?
Because I wrote it and told them to.
Who'd win in a beard off between the 4 of you?
Oh, me. In a what?
Beard off.
Gus.
Like beard going competition.
Right here.
Okay. I'm getting closer for this.
New South Wales thinks they can play football. Can Matt please say, "Damn you, dirty Blues"?
Damn you, dirty Blues!
It's funny because that's the first question of the entire panel that we got right.
Were there any jokes or storylines that you had a veto, especially after you handed control off?
Only the funny ones.
So when Doyle...
Get closer.
When Doyle was blown up by the explosion, did he go through time?
When Doyle was blown up?
Yeah.
That's in seasons 11 through 13. I haven't watched those yet. Thank you.
Okay.
Will we ever expect a 50 Shades of Caboose?
Do you want that? Is that something you want?
Wow.
Let's alienate our parents!
No, here we go.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for a season 14 storyline, Joel.
Fuck it, let's do it.
I'm not... A caboose sex tape seems like it would be illegal. Like that would violate some kind of law.
Best line made by someone other than your character.
Lightning round.
Just said it!
All the great lines are Simmons lines, so I really can't answer that.
I like caboose more.
Oh. Thank you. You're the only one.
You know Gus runs the convention.
Don't worry, security's already on their way.
Joel, how did you come up with the idea for the voice of Caboose?
Talking to animals. Come on, you talk to animals.
Oh, sorry. What was your initial reaction to have Red versus Blue aired on TV? Like, what was your reaction?
It was awesome. It's crazy to me to finally work on something that you can watch on television. I can tell my mom, yeah, just turn the TV station and you can watch it.
No, mine was too many commercials.
Oh, fair enough.
Because there's 3 commercials every like 5 minutes on television, and online we get blasted if we have one ad, every 20 minutes. So it's crazy.
Do you guys ever update the death sequences that you've pre-recorded?
No, I have those locked away. No, I have recorded death scenes in case anybody gets out of line.
What are the dumbest things that you guys have done when trying to film voicey?
What's the dumbest scenes we've ever
the
filmed?
dumbest scenes
It's a series you should watch. It's called Red versus Blue. It's the whole thing.
Do you think that someone could make a Machinima series and start something like this?
Sir, we never think about anything ever.
Fair
We're not capable of it.
Hey, have you ever thought about going back and doing some of the action scenes from the first seasons with your new animation techniques?
No.
And what's up with your finger?
Oh, I cut my finger. It's got 6 stitches in it. It's super gross.
Come to the podcast panel. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I'll show it off at the podcast.
Was it because you were crowd surfing with Madonna earlier?
No.
Is it all full circle now?
I was
Is this how she got pregnant?
We got to finish.
It's because I was in a crowd when she was surfing.
Go.
Are you ever going to do RTX New Zealand?
No comment.
That's a yes, probably.
You guys often reminisce and talk about doing things differently, but if you could go back, would you actually change anything?
I feel like he's calling us old. I feel like that's like a...
I would change the name of the company and not be Rooster Teeth.
What would I change about the company going back in time? Joel Heyman. I'd make him nicer.
For Red versus Blue, do you have any regrets regarding story, like killing off a character or something?
Casting my friends. No, it was great. Honestly, it's like, how lucky were we? Like, the people that we knew, Red versus Blue, and then what subsequently became Rooster Teeth, was like, I felt super fortunate because like 2 groups of my friends coming together that I'd worked with for a long period of time, and it's like, if everyone didn't get along, I mean, we didn't get along, but we didn't get along in funny ways, but it's like, it's a group that came together and it was like an instant gel, It's like everything worked out great.
And everyone had a skill, I think, that contributed to...
Even Jeff?
Yeah, he could drink.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody.
Everybody, welcome back to the live stream.